The Guided Goals podcast gives you the tools, direction, and resources you need to pursue your passion project. I'm Debra Eckerling, Project Catalyst, and this is the Guided Goals podcast. Our guest today is Steve Kaplan, and we're going to talk about comedy. Steve is the author of the best-selling The Hidden Tools of Comedy, as well as a script consultant who teaches comedy writing and performance workshops around the world. Welcome, Steve. Thank you for joining us today.
I am delighted to be here.
Would you like to share a little bit more about yourself and your background?
Um, I'm a Libra. My favorite color is blue. I like
My favorite
long
color is
walks
blue.
down the beach. No, okay. I come from a theater background. I used to have a theater um, in Manhattan called Manhattan Punchline that was completely devoted to comedy. It was a not-for-profit theater. I didn't know it was going to be that way, but that's the way it turned out. And that's how. And I was a theater director and a producer and a mediocre actor and a bad stand-up comic. I was, so bad that the joke is that places asked me never to come back, like not even as a customer. But that's just a joke. But the important thing is I was always obsessed about comedy. Even as a kid, I just loved the road movies with Bing Crosby and Bob Hope, and they were like shown on black and white at midnight. Not that I'm that old that I watched them when they first came out. I liked the Three Stooges, but mostly Shemp because he was the one who had heart and was sweet. And I was fixated on making people laugh. And then when I started a theater company with a couple of friends, I then became fixated not only on making people laugh, but more importantly, why they are laughing. Or more importantly, since I was directing and producing theater, why they were not laughing.
Let's talk comedy, shall we?
Okay.
Why is it so important? I know, is that like the silliest question ever? Because it's important, right?
Well, I mean, if you don't have comedy, then the horrible things in the world remain horrible. And a writer called Shlomo Lechem once said that the world is a cancer on top of a sore on top of a disaster. And just for spite, we'll have comedy. Just to spite them,
So
there'll
the
be
comedy
laughter.
is like the balance of the universe.
Well, the comedy is the reality of the universe.
Okay.
We take ourselves very seriously, and we tend to think sometimes that what's happening to us is terribly serious or important or wonderful or huge. It's going to be huge. I'm wonderful. I'm huge. Um, and comedy is the ability to put things in perspective and realize that whatever we're doing here on this little blue ball that's spinning through the void, whatever we're doing, it's okay as long as we're kind. A wise man once said, "The greatest wisdom is kindness," and comedy teaches you, among other things, it teaches you to not be so hard on yourself, not be so hard on other people, because it teaches you that we're all flawed and it's okay. A comedian is simply the courageous person who gets up in front of a large group of strangers and admits that he's a human being. That's what comedy is at its basis. Just somebody sharing the truth about what it's like to be human and using themselves as the first object or example. In teaching comedy, I'm trying to teach. It's kind of a philosophy that it's comedy tells the truth about people, and what we want to say about people is that we're not perfect and it's okay, and that we can revel in our imperfection and we can share our imperfection. I mean, when you get together with your family at Thanksgiving, say, and you're sitting around the table and you're looking at your uncles and your aunts and your cousins, you realize they're all ridiculous. And when all the cousins get together, you're laughing about your parents and your uncles and your aunts and how silly they are. That's all of us. We're all ridiculous. And so, even though uh, drama or great art has always been thought to be serious, um, comedy is as important as anything else.
I want to pivot a little bit. What are your thoughts on ways people can use comedy in highlighting what they're doing in order to get noticed or get their work out there?
You can use comedy to humanize yourself, to use a little self-deprecation, so that when you're dealing with boards of directors or making presentations, a sense of humor shows people that you're vulnerable, you're relatable, you're empathetic. They can be empathetic with you, and you're a guy that keeps things in perspective. And when you're dealing with money, whether it's on a small level or a big level, people want to know you're serious, but you're not so serious as to lose sight of what is important and what's not important. A sense of humor is a valuable thing, and certainly, if you're going to promote yourself, a sense of humor is very valuable. If you look at the commercials that are popular during the Super Bowl, most of the popular commercials are the ones that utilize humor in selling their product. Now, it's a funny thing. In promoting my work, I can't use humor because
the irony.
It is funny because I'm promoting a workshops that teach people how to be funny, and the worst thing I could do is to try to be funny. So for me, I'm just trying to be factual. I'm just trying to be informational. If you talk to me in person or you hear me on a video on YouTube, then I'm who I am, which is I'm a guy who has a certain piece of knowledge, and I try to present it in as human a way as possible. Now, if that comes off as funny to some people, it's not my intention to be funny. It's my intention to be real. And when politicians say, I'm just being real, they're not being real. They're being as fake as they possibly can be because everything is sculpted. But when somebody's really being real, they're showing all the weird stuff about them too, as well as maybe the smart stuff. So how can they use it? They can use it in terms of dealing with obstacles. The obstacle that you think is in your way might not be that big, or it might not be actually in your way, or maybe you're the obstacle. So either in promotion you can use comedy, in public speaking. You've all gone to a lecture or a seminar in which the person, after 10 minutes, this is going to be the most boring morning or afternoon or weekend or week of my life. Shoot me now. And then you'll go to a speaker, and the speaker just infuses it with some of his humor, and there's no coincidence that humor and human share a common root. And it's like, yeah, well, tell me about credit default swaps. Okay, because now I'm more receptive to it. I mean, that's why The Big Short is as successful as it is, because Adam McKay is a comedy director. So he realized if he's going to tell people about credit default swaps and loans that are packaged with subprime mortgages, that he's got to figure out a way that would make it not only understandable but approachable, and he used comedy to do that.
So for the people who say, "Oh, that's all well and good, but I'm not funny," is there?
You are funny. You are funny. It's believe me. Look across the table at whoever you're eating with. That person's ridiculous, and you're not. if you're in a relationship, you know how crazy your partner is, and so are you. So you're funny. What Sarah Silverman once said is that everybody's funny, but professionals can be funny on demand. People who are amateurs can't be funny every time they want to be. So the idea is that you don't have to be a professional comedian to infuse your work with humor. And if you want an example of that, go to TED Talks. Now, 9 times out of 10, those are scientists or academics or economists or some person who is not making a living at being funny. And yet, the TED Talks that you like are the TED Talks in which you laugh. And how are they doing that? They're doing that by sharing their own humanity. It's not clever jokes. They're just telling the truth about themselves and confessing to being human. So if the thing that you want to that pops out of your mouth is what a stupid person you are, that's not comedy, because you're focusing on somebody else's faults. Comedy is focusing on your own faults, and maybe your fault is you see things in a weird way. Just share it. That's what observational comics do. They simply share their own perceptions, which are weird, and then I tell you about it, and you laugh at me who have those weird perceptions, even though at the same time you're going, "You're right. I see what you're talking about."
If someone is writing something and they wish to be witty and charming, maybe it will just come out naturally in the
Okay,
same
well,
process, or
well,
what?
here's the other thing. So if you're writing something, yeah, you think it's funny, you think it's brilliant, you have to, if it's meant to be performed, you have to hear it with people saying the words. Join a writers group, because if it's funny, other human beings in that group will laugh. If it's not funny, the other human beings in the group won't laugh. And your job is to not make excuses for yourself. Your job is to hear what you did. Now I work with people who are writing television scripts, film scripts, one-person shows. They're meant to be performed in some fashion. They're either writer performers or performers, or they're writing for performers. So I tell them the most important thing you can do is at a certain point, maybe several times during the process, hear the stuff read out loud by other people, by other actors, to other to an audience, to other human beings, and make sure they have wine because you want them to be in a good mood. And make sure you record it, because at a certain point, no matter how good the writing is, it will stop being good. And you will hear it stop being good, because rather than belly laughs, there'll be ha ha. And what will happen is you will go into a coma. Your eyes will be open. You'll still be able to function, but you will be in a coma and you will forget. You will not know what's happening. So it's important, when you hear your writing read out loud, have a digital recorder. Record everything so you can go back and listen. Wow, I didn't even realize they loved that joke. Or this joke that I love got no reaction. Maybe I should get rid of it. Maybe I should rethink it. Every funny comedy group that you can think of starts by reading their sketches out loud, to the other people in the group.
So it's
SNL,
yeah.
the Monty Python, there's no way around it. You have to put your stuff out to human beings. Comedy is a human activity. It's a group activity, and you can't do it in the isolation of your room. Just, boy, that stuff I'm writing on that screen, that's brilliant. You got to have it tested out.
It doesn't matter what it is you're trying to do to be funny. You just need to take an inventory of what gets a reaction, and that will help you figure out what's going to work best for you.
Right. And the other thing is, don't try to be funny. You know that the worst sitcoms in the world are the ones that are desperately trying to make you laugh, and they'll do anything to make you laugh. You want to know how to write sharp, funny lines? Join Twitter. In Twitter, you have 140 characters to be witty, and so that's another thing. You want to be funny, hang around other funny people. take an improv class, join us, or go to a sketch comedy show. Um, Put yourself in a position where other people are trying to do similar things as you are, and you can learn from each other. Again, because the worst thing you can do is isolate yourself. It's hard to be brilliant in isolation, because who's going to tell you you're brilliant if you're all by yourself? Okay.
What do you do for work-life balance?
What's a life?
Okay. I get that a lot.
No, no, no. Here's what I do. Uh, I've been married a long time, and we just had our 39th anniversary,
Congratulations.
which means, yes, I was married when I was 10 years old. It was a kind of a child bride, uh, and we like to watch things on TV and laugh, sharing laughs with each other at something else. We like to go to the theater. I play poker. Here, I guess the point is that when I figured out how to be artistic and eat well at the same time, life became easy. But that took me a long time. When I was first working in the theater, and I was making no money because, as I told you, it was not for profit. That was all work, no life. It was wonderful, but it was all work, no life, because I didn't have an idea of how was I going to eat and do my art. And it was only when I figured out a way to eat and do my art that I found the balance. And I think it was a wise man who once said, being a genius doesn't come with dental.
That's good.
I know for people have their vision, their kind of their day jobs or their B jobs, and then there's their vision. A lot of times, some people will forget the B job part of it and just go for the vision, which is exciting, but oftentimes crazy making. And if you can figure out how can I have a good life and go for my vision so that I can eventually shift over to just doing my vision, then you can be happy, because you can't be happy just like you, if you were at a bar and you're single and you're an attractive woman and you're looking, if a guy comes up who's desperate, are you going to be attracted to him?
No.
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 So if you're desperate for whatever reason, desperate to sell this product, desperate to get an audition, if you're desperate, it doesn't work. You have to figure out a way where you're happy first, and then you can be successful. Don't wait to be happy after, when I'm successful, then I'll be happy. No, it's happy first, then success will come.
Which is exactly why I do this podcast, and I do my Project Catalyst and goal coaching, whatever you want to call what I do, is because I believe everybody should pursue that thing on the side and make that thing on the side the full-time gig. So I'm completely with you on that. So I think, for the personal goal, other than the ultimate goal, which is to make your side, your passion project, your life, I think to go and watch something funny with someone, I think that's a good personal goal, because I'm sure people don't do that enough. And the shared experience is another thing that people don't see the power in. And the professional goal is, I think it would be fun to just sort of start a notebook of observations about yourself and the things that are funny, to just bring a little bit more awareness of it. So when you are trying to add humor, when you are speaking, you got your go-to list. So you've got a little jump start there.
And not only a notebook, but today you can write something on Facebook, you can Instagram it, you can Twitter it. I mean, now Twitter and Instagram are the 21st century notebooks, where you have a thought share it. And the more that you do that, the more that you can work on taking your observations and seeing what's unique in your observation.
Okay, bonus goal, be funny on social media.
Okay.
Love it. That's great. Thank
Okay.
you so much. We've been speaking with Steve Kaplan about comedy. And
Thank you.
thank you for joining us, and thanks to everyone who is listening. You can go to guidedgoals.com to get the show notes and links to some of the things that we've talked about. And meantime, I guess the secret is to just go out there and enjoy life, and then you get the life you want. So I say, everyone listening, simple enough. So go on out there and go for it.